ends at Martinsville, and the field is set for the finale in Phoenix. These are our top stories on this edition of Fast Talk.
Fast Talk is presented by Toyota. For the latest Toyota Gazoo racing information, visit tgrna.com. And by Sunoco. From NASCAR to your car, Sunoco Fuel helps your car reach peak performance. Now, here's the host of Fast Talk, Doug Rice.
So glad you could join us. The field is now set for the finale at Phoenix next Sunday to determine the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series champion. We do have some knowns. We know that there are 3 drivers in that field of 4 that have never worn the crown in the NASCAR Cup Series, Kyle Larson being the lone exception. We also know that Penske will not go for the 4-peat, that there is no way that they win. They have been eliminated. As a matter of fact, the Blue Oval is shut out. Aren't we glad it's not Ford Championship Week, Alexis?
Yeah, no kidding. I think they're glad.
Yeah, it could be a little bit tough to take.
A little awkward.
Brad Gilly, your thoughts right now. Now, just coming at you broadside here. We've got these 4 drivers set, 2 from Hendrick and Larson and William Byron, 2 from Joe Gibbs and Chase Briscoe, and Denny Hamlin, of course, chasing his first ever. What's your take on this field of 4?
I love the fact that we got here based on performance. I love the fact that really you could have taken anyone in the round of 8 and plugged them into the championship round and said, okay, this is a deserving bunch of people who should run for the title. The 4 that we wound up with, I don't see any one of them as a favorite. You can go back and look at that performance at Phoenix and say, okay, this person's had more top 5s, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, this seems to be one of the most balanced championship 4 fields that we have seen in a long, long time. And I look forward to seeing what turns out this weekend.
Alexis, I know we were chatting before we came on the air, and you were basically making the case that the 4 that are there are very deserving.
Yeah, they absolutely are. I mean, there's been so much talk this season specifically, I feel like more than ever, about what this championship format is and how it crowns a champion. And when you look at what we have, at least in the Cup Series, we'll talk about the other series in a little while, but at least in the Cup Series, just like Brad said, it feels extremely balanced. Jeff Gluck sent this tweet out yesterday, and I think it's apropos, obviously, to what we're talking about. William Byron, regular season champion and the season laps led leader. You have Denny Hamlin. He's the season wins leader with 6 wins. Chase Briscoe, season top 5s leader, and Kyle Larson is second in laps led, top 5s, and top 10s. So if any one of those 4 drivers win the championship, and we'll make a case for why we think they can or they can't in a little while, I think that we'll say that that's a deserving champion no matter who wins.
It's unlike last year where so many people were squawking because Joey Logano kind of floundered along and got hot near the end. I think you can make a case for all these drivers. Although for Kyle Larson, you got to go all the way back to May 1st.
It's true.
For the last time that he won a race.
Yep.
Not saying that he won't go to Phoenix and win by a half lap, but it's been a while since he drank the champagne. William Byron dominated the show at Martinsville, led 304 of 500 laps. Let's hear what he had to say.
Yeah, I feel like I just kind of get into a zone probably, and just that cadence and rhythm, I guess. And yeah, as an athlete, you always want to find that. But I think the biggest key is kind of when things don't go your way, how you adapt to the circumstances around you and stay in that.
Brad Gilly, thoughts about William Byron's not runaway win, but very convincing win at Martinsville?
Convincing. I mean, I think that is the best way that you can describe it. And they went out there and they took ownership of the race. Look, not only did he win from the pole, by the way, the last person to win from the pole at Martinsville Speedway, you have to go back to 2013 and find Jimmy Johnson who did that. But they won everything. They won stage 1. They won stage 2. They had the fastest lap of the race on lap 494, by the way, and not that we were counting points anymore for these drivers in the round of 8, but he got a maximum points day. They did everything they needed to do to drive into Martinsville Speedway and dominate that race.
The only time that's ever happened, too, in this championship format that we have now, where the person wins the pole, wins all the stages, wins everything you can win in that round.
He's got the momentum. There's no arguing about that as they roll into Phoenix. Ryan Blaney put up a great effort, led 177 laps, but on the last restart, Byron beat him off the exit of turn 2, and it was basically over after that. Everybody ran second to him. But on our show last week, Alexis Erickson, my esteemed colleague here, talked about
I think there's
him
something
winning.
to be said for Penske's flat track success and Blaney specifically at Martinsville. I think if anybody has a shot, it's Blaney to win from below the cut. That's my opinion.
Okay, well, I'm not on next Monday, but if he wins, I want you to call me.
Okay, Will.
Okay, and let me eat crow. Let me eat crow in public, okay?
Look, I was so close. I was so close to being able to get Kyle Petty to eat that crow. And it's funny specifically because he texted us all yesterday and he said, if Blaney wins this, you guys have to call in and let me eat crow. Alexis, I will bow to your greatness. Look, y'all, I was this close to greatness. And that's probably what in the end eliminated Blaney yesterday. I jinxed him, I think, maybe.
0.7 of a second, Brad. That's all that separated Alexis from having Kyle Petty come in and bow to her greatness.
Hey, look, there is no coulda, woulda, shoulda in this sport. Either you did or you didn't, and they didn't. So now William Byron goes on. By the way, the first driver in the Next Gen era to make the championship for 3 years in a row. And you know, last year William Byron made it in on points. We had to wait about 20 minutes to find out whether or not that was going to happen. This year they came back and convincingly drove into victory lane.
Watching that race come down, and there was some high drama toward the end with Blaney and William Byron racing each other. Alexis, it never entered my mind that one of these guys would take out the other. Now, I don't always feel that way. I thought, okay, Byron got a little aggressive. He nudged him, but that is fine. But I never thought, okay, these two are going to spin and Chase Elliott will win.
No, and I mean that has to do with the reputation of both of those drivers. You see them as being smooth on the racetrack always. They have respect for the other drivers around them. I mean, Blaney, I don't know, you can hear him on the radio sometimes and he sounds like, you know, he's ready to plow through the guy in front of him, and he did a little bit with lap traffic yesterday when it was necessary, but he always races clean, and so does William, and you could tell that battle, you know, there in the waning laps was a good one and a clean one. And I think what you can tell most from is when Blaney got out of his car and did his post-race interview, he said, look, you know, yes, William pushed me out of the way, basically, ran me up the racetrack, but I would have done the same thing in the same situation. He had no ill words towards Byron at all for what happened and just said, look, he had the better car. And so, you know, that tells you all you need to know about those two drivers.
Brad Gilly, interesting stats here. William Byron led 304. And, of course, Ryan Blaney led 177. The rest of the laps led. 8 belonged to Ross Chastain, 6 to Tyler Reddick, and 5 to Michael McDowell. At any time during this race, did you think there was any driver outside of William Byron and Ryan Blaney that was going to win?
No, not at all. And those, 19 laps were all through different pit cycle strategies that were happening. Maybe it was a 2-tire strategy for McDowell. Maybe it was a staying out on a pit cycle for Chastain. So that's all that was. Outside of that, it was William Byron and Ryan Blaney. And quite honestly, when that caution came out before the end of a stage and, you know, you looked at who stayed out, who came onto pit road and so on and so forth, you know, that ultimately is what gave Blaney the lead, which he hung on to for a long time. But those two were the class of the field, clearly the class of the field.
It felt like even had Blaney won that last dash off of pit road, William Byron had a little bit better car toward the end.
I think it was inevitable. I mean, obviously, you could tell. And I think, what did Williams start on that restart? What was he, like 8th or something? You know, he
somewhere
was
between 5th and 8th.
Right, yeah. He was leading for so many laps, obviously, from the start of the race. And, you know, he won the stages, and then he gets shuffled back because of an untimely caution, which I don't remember exactly what it was, but I could probably take a shot in the dark and say Carson Hocevar.
Probably Hocevar.
Yeah, exactly.
Hocevar or Josh Berry.
Well, yeah, exactly. Or a combination of the two. But you know, you could tell he needed some time, obviously, to get up through the field. But William Byron, he had the best car yesterday by far.
No, sometimes the best car and the best combo doesn't win. Martinsville yesterday was not one of those
Sometimes
times.
they can't be denied.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Let's give you our Toyota Performance Report, brought to you by Toyota. For the latest Toyota Gazoo racing information, visit tgrna.com. Toyota.com. Christopher Bell, the top finishing Toyota, not good enough to crack in and make it to the Final Four. He had to beat Kyle Larson. He could not. Larson finished 5th. Bell finished 7th. Tyler Reddick was 11th. Ty Gibbs was 12th. Bubba Wallace 18th. 21st, John Hunter Nemechek. And a flurry of Toyotas that had some different gremlins at the bottom of the stack. 34th, Eric Jones. Denny Hamlin, 35th. Didn't hurt him. He was already in. Riley Herbst was 36th. And 37th was Chase Briscoe. So for Hamlin and Briscoe, not great days, but it was okay. They're already locked in. We're going to break down the two organizations that are featured in the Final Four. We'll do that next here on Fast Talk.
So you're a Toyota Cup driver and you just made it to the playoffs. Now all you have to do is win. Easy. Just turn left, right? That and start strong, take off, reach 200 miles per hour, maintain a good position, no big deal, lap again, time your pit stops, steer clear of accidents, talk to your crew chief like your best friend, and most importantly, turn left. Easy, right? You in? Get up to speed at tgrna.com. Toyota, let's go places. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, LLC.
We work hard to keep our cars looking great on the outside, but engine components need our attention too. That's where you can trust Z-Max Micro Lubricant to disperse carbon buildup in your engine and fuel system to keep your car or truck running at its peak. By soaking into the metal of your engine, Z-Max Micro Lubricant improves performance, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. Trust the many customers who've said, "Thanks for saving my engine." Find out more at zmax.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Chase Briscoe, and you're listening to PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
No one's paying me to say this, but you've been our lifeline. We have no internet. We have no TV. We barely have cell service. I don't know how I'm able to get to you. My Wi-Fi is not working. And I have a radio, and I finally got power on, and I have it plugged in, and I could hear you. You're the only station I can get in.
Wow. Well,
That's
I'm
why
glad
we're
we're here.
So-
Wow.
The report that we got was that a severe tornado was heading right toward us. And I just want to commend you gentlemen for the job that you're doing, for keeping us informed.
I just wanted to say thank you for being on the radio and guiding us to, where we can get help.
I just want to tell you, the first thing I heard was your voices the next morning. Oh, shoot. And it made me cry. The comfort of hearing your voices.
My respiration, perspiration, and aggravation are sky high, but you guys have been the guiding light.
Your local AM station makes a difference.
Should be no surprise to anyone that follows NASCAR that the two dominant teams have equal shares of winning the possibility of taking home the championship in Phoenix. And, of course, that is Hendrick Motorsports that has two drivers in, and Joe Gibbs Racing. Let's look at Hendrick first off. Their two drivers, of course, are William Byron and Kyle Larson. In the next-gen era at Phoenix, William Byron has the best average finish of any of the four drivers that are represented. He has an 8th place average finish in the next gen races at Phoenix. Kyle Larson, not too shabby, 10.1 as we get ready to head and duel out in the desert. So I'm going to give this up to the panelists here at Alexis Erickson and Brad Gilley, and I'll start with you, Brad Gilley. Give me a reason, or give me your thoughts on William Byron and why he can win the championship.
Well, I think one thing you put it, an 8th place average finish there in the next gen era. He also won the spring race back in 2023. And when you look at the amount of top 10s that he's put in the next gen era, it's pretty astounding. In fact, only 2 of the 7 races he finished outside of the top 10, and those were a pair of 18th place finishes. Outside of that, 8th, 3rd, a win, 4th, 3rd, a 6th place finish. I think consistency is the one thing that William Byron has over the rest of the field. You need to go out there and perform consistently. When we were there back in the spring, a 6th place finish. He started on the pole. I believe in momentum. Now, momentum can come from a couple of different places, and in this case, because we're convincing you that William Byron can win the championship, momentum coming off of that race at Martinsville Speedway on a flat, short track. They went out there and just flat performed.
All right, so William Byron, average 8th place finish in the next gen races at Phoenix. That's the best of any of the 4 championship contenders. Kyle Larson, not too bad, 10.1 average finishes. No wins in the last 7 races there, Alexis. But how can Kyle Larson be the one driver that snags his 2nd championship?
Well, I think Kyle Larson sometimes just does Kyle Larson things, okay? He is what a lot of us would refer to as one of the best stock car racers and other forms of racing, too, just all-around race car drivers that we've seen in this generation. Now, with that said, you did mention that he hasn't won since May at Kansas, right?
Right.
So, he had a little bit of a bumpy summer and things like that, but he has somehow been consistent enough and been able to find his way. I think he had like 10 stage wins this season or something like that. So he had a boatload of playoff points that helped propel him to Phoenix. I just think that when you put Kyle Larson, especially Cliff Daniels, I think Cliff Daniels is extremely smart. He's one of the best crew chiefs in the garage. You put them together with the NASCAR Cup Series championship trophy on the line, they can find a way to make it happen.
Brad, the fact that Kyle Larson's been there, done that, does that give him any edge at all this coming weekend?
I don't know that I think that it does, because William Byron has made the championship round now 3 seasons in a row. Kyle Larson's been there before. He's won the championship, but it's not like he's been there lately. So I almost feel like that gap from 2021 when he did win his title to where we sit here in 2025, I just think that sort of erases anything that you have of going in there and saying, hey, I'm a former series champion. I don't know that that matters in this case.
Is there any way we can get a good nickname for either one of these guys? I know Larson is Young Money.
Young Money.
But, as every day goes by,
he's getting a little bit older money.
Yeah, not so Young Money. And William Byron, he has been dubbed with that horrible moniker of Willie B.
Willie B.
Yeah,
I don't
Willie
hate
B
it.
or Naughty B. I don't know.
I don't hate it. I don't hate Willie B. Why do you hate Willie B?
I think he's outgrowing it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Look at old Willie B over there in the corner. And all I hear is Shakespeare. To be or
Willie B or won't he be?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess we're gonna find out on Sunday.
So,
Will he be or won't he be?
Put your heads together, folks, and we need decent nicknames.
Hey, look, tweet us if you have a good nickname for any of the championship 4.
Any of the 4.
Yeah, please send it to @PRN Live. We'd love to see it. We'd love to read it, and maybe if there's any good ones, we'll talk about
Maybe
it
we
next
can
week.
salvage
Yeah,
this.
sure.
I mean, people came up with Hail Melon after
Hail Melon. Yep.
And there were a lot of things thrown out there.
But I don't think that's not his nickname. That was just a nickname for that move that he made.
Is he the Melon Man?
The watermelon.
He
The
is
watermelon
the
man. The melon man.
I mean, that fits.
He's got his Melon Man brand of merchandise.
I wanted to label, Willie B for Legos because he was featured building that one Lego set, but that's all he ever built.
There's
one.
nothing cool about that.
I don't know.
If you're going to give someone a nickname, it's got to be something cool. I'm sure he would prefer Champ when it's all said and
Right,
done.
yeah, no kidding.
We'll see. He's got a, I don't
1
know
in
if he's
4
got
chance.
a 1 in 4 chance. You got to think your own effort. If they perform like they did last Sunday, but I'm always a prisoner of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I get sucked into how good they were Sunday. I got to keep reminding myself of other factors that are going to dive into that.
So I know we're going to talk about JGR in the next segment, but I'm curious what you guys think about like experience versus non-experience, right? Because you have 3 drivers that all have experience racing in the final race with Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, and William Byron, who we've talked about has been there 3 years in a row. Briscoe has never done that before. So is that inexperience a hindrance to him, or is it not? Because you can make a case either way.
I personally don't think it matters.
Okay.
I really don't, because you look at everything that they've done this season. And it's hard to go back and look at Chase Briscoe trends because sometimes you look at it and go, man, Chase Briscoe's run well here in the past. Well, guess what? He does it in the 19 car. Some weekends you look at it and go, Briscoe hasn't been that great, but boy, Martin Truex Jr. was in that car before him. And then the next thing you know, they're winning a pole and winning a race or starting on the front row and doing very well. So they are, if I look at Chase Briscoe right now, I look at it less in playoffs and championship for experience and more in true momentum of this is a team that has literally hit the crest of the wave, and they can be a threat anywhere at any time, including this weekend at Phoenix, where, by the way, he won the first ever next-gen race we had there.
I got some thoughts about that, but we're going to talk about JGR next here on Fast Talk.
This is Kyle Petty for Echo Park Automotive, and I'm here to tell you why you should shop Echo Park before you buy a car, truck, or SUV. Over half of inventory at Echo Park is priced below $25,000. And car for car, truck for truck, Echo Park Automotive's pricing is $3,000 less than the competition. Maybe that's why Echo Park has over 95,000 five-star reviews. Echo Park Automotive is built to make sure you drive away happy. It's even in their name, Echo Park Automotive. Every car, happy owner. The official used car dealer of Speedway Motorsports.
From fueling NASCAR champions on the track for over 20 years to innovating 94 Octane, the highest octane on the market. Performance is what Sunoco does. All Sunoco fuel at the pump meets the same top-tier standards as the fuel used in NASCAR. From the track to your tank, you can trust Sunoco to help your vehicle perform at its peak.
This is Ross Chastain, and you're listening to PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
These cars are about to fire it off in anger.
Logano back across the stripe. Now Zane Smith putting on some pressure.
Side by side, Austin Cindric has him at the line, and he will take the lead into one.
Boy, what a save. We got cars sideways. It's Christopher Bell. He spins and collects a couple cars. Here comes Shane Van Gisbergen on the bottom. He's looking for second.
Now Chris Buescher fired out of a cannon at turn 2. He's right into the rear bumper of Ty Gibbs. Which way is he going to go?
Oh, it's a multi-car accident. I want to say 15, 20 cars. Looks like Austin Cindric is involved. Denny Hamlin. Guys, that took out about 2/3 of the field.
We have a fight on pit road between two crew guys. One of them is with Ty Gibbs. One is with Brad Keselowski.
Brad Keselowski will see the white flag as he drives under the start-finish line.
Chase Elliott has battled at the front all night long. He's won the war. Chase Elliott has just punched his ticket to the playoff.
Awesome job, man. Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
This is PRN.
We talked extensively about Hendrick Motorsports a moment ago, and there are two drivers that are representing for them, and that's William Byron and Kyle Larson. Let's go to the other two drivers now from Joe Gibbs Racing, and Chase Briscoe, of course, and Denny Hamlin. We're going to save Denny till last. Let's go with you to start this time. We started with Brad last time. Tell me how Chase Briscoe can get this done this coming Sunday and be the 2025 champion, Alexis.
Well, it's interesting because Brad had some of my argument, before the break about just how well that team has performed this year, which I think has been a surprise to a lot of people. I think, whenever you move to a new organization, we knew that 19 team was great. We knew James Small is a great crew chief, but you never know how a driver and a crew chief are going to gel until you put them in that situation and you see how they react to it. Clearly, they are gelling very well. They are the pole sitter leaders of the year. I think they have 7 poles on the season, which nobody saw coming. 3 wins, and you just look at that team and you look at the momentum that they have had, and it looks like, you said it, Doug, in the break, and I'm going to steal it because I have the microphone right now.
Wow.
They're playing with house money,
Yeah,
and
they
are. You know what I mean? Like, and when you talk about inexperience versus experience, I almost feel like it's a blessing that they don't have any experience in the championship four, because they're not going in there with the pressure of, oh man, we've been here so many times and we've not been able to get it done. Are we going to be able to make it work this time? Are we going to be able to get all the stars to align and have success on pit road? And is the car going to be good? And I'm going to be the best as a driver. He's not worrying about all that. I mean, he is probably, but not to the extent of someone like, who we're going to talk about next, Denny Hamlin, who's been there a plethora of times and hasn't been able to make it work. So I see Brad's argument about it. It probably doesn't matter, but I can also play devil's advocate and say, well, maybe it does, and maybe it's a good thing that he doesn't have a whole lot of experience.
So Brad Gilly, Chase Briscoe, not young money, but house money. You buy into that?
House money. I like that. Okay, I will take that as a nickname, and I would happily have that if I was Chase Briscoe. To Alexa's point, they don't know any better. They're here for the first time as a driver, crew chief, team combo in the championship four, and they don't know any. I don't want to say they don't have expectations, because that's not fair. They expect to go out there and win, but I don't feel like they have the same kind of pressure as, say, their teammate, who is going to be asked incessantly now about, is this finally your year after 20 years to win the championship?
Bumblebees are not supposed to be able to fly. They're not built for aerodynamics. They're bulky, they're round, but they do a pretty good job. So in some ways, Briscoe represents the bumblebee in all this.
Sure.
He's not supposed to be there. It's not race day when the green flag drops that I'm concerned about Chase Briscoe. He's shown his competence this year. He's won 3 races. How do you handle the stuff between now and then? The churn of the noise, just like this show, just like Sirius XM NASCAR, just like every YouTuber setting up every pick. Can he channel all of that out? The press conferences, all of that. Is he ready for all of that mess that goes with this before you ever get in the race car?
Yes. And I think that he is, because even though he is new to Joe Gibbs Racing and he is new to the 19 team, he is not new to racing. And he has raced for a championship before in the Xfinity Series. He has done this. He has been in this situation before. Maybe not at this specific level of the pinnacle, the Cup Series, but he knows how to navigate all those things. And also, when you think about Chase Briscoe, he's very... we've used this word a lot for his, for the person who he replaced, Martin Truex Jr. He's an everyman. I think he just tells it how it is. He is not going to try to put on a front for anybody this week and be somebody who he's not. He's just going to be himself, and then he's going to get in a race car and he's going to race for a championship. And I feel very strongly about that when it comes to Chase Briscoe.
If Chase Briscoe is everyman, then I don't know where that puts Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin wants to be Ric Flair. He wants to be the man.
Woo!
Yeah,
he wants to be.
That was a bad Ric Flair.
That's what he wants to be. In the next gen era, he's averaged 10.8 as his average finish at Phoenix. He was the runner-up there in the spring race, so he can get around the place really well. But Brad Gilly, I cannot start to calculate the hours that we have spent just on this radio show talking about Denny Hamlin, yet here again he is with another shot at winning the title. Tell me how Denny Hamlin wins the championship.
Do I have to?
Yep, pretty much.
It's your job.
All right. Well, two
It's your
things
job.
you just said, and you set it up. He was the runner-up back in the spring, and his average finish there is just under 11, so that's not a bad thing. Honestly, I think one of the better things that Hamlin has going for him right now is the fact that he is embroiled in a lawsuit with NASCAR, is that he has so many other things happening around him that he cannot help but focus on the race car. This is the 5th time he's ever made the championship for it. It's been a while since he's been here. In fact, the last 3 times he made it, the championship race was at Phoenix Raceway. He's led a grand total of 1 lap. Before that, it was Homestead. It was the first year of the championship. He led 50 laps. And then before that, he went toe-to-toe with Jimmy Johnson and ultimately choked, and he was a young driver. The one thing Denny did throughout all of those championship years was something different, something fabricated. I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to be relaxed and loose. I'm going to go in there this year now because relaxed and loose didn't work, and I'm going to isolate myself. Now I'm going to go in there and I'm going to bring my entire entourage like I do with me all the time. None of those things worked. He overthought what was happening. Well, guess what? he can't really overthink it right now. At least I don't feel that he can, because there are a lot of other outside things happening. While many people look at that as a distraction, I feel like for Denny Hamlin, that's actually a major strength for him. If I'm his competition, that's the one thing I'm worried about, is the fact that he cannot overthink this championship race because he has too many other things going on in his world. That's what makes Denny a threat. That's what makes him dangerous.
I just wanted to say, too, and I'm sure there'll probably be a portion of the show we'll talk about Penske's missed opportunity. But so many people have said, like, if Penske gets through to Phoenix, it's their championship to lose. And I know Brad doesn't subscribe to that notion, and you probably don't either. But I think the fact that neither Joey Logano or Ryan Blaney are in the Final Four makes it a better opportunity for a Denny Hamlin, a Chase Briscoe, or a Kyle Larson or William Byron to win the championship, because you don't have that Penske factor.
That would have been a distraction for him. Yes. And I do agree with, if they had made it, they would have. I don't believe in coulda, woulda, shoulda, that, only if. But if the scenario were different, yeah, that would be a huge distraction for Denny.
And that's what I'm saying, is because everybody, even the drivers, were like, Penske at Phoenix, Penske at Phoenix. That gets in your head. You know what I mean? That messes with your thoughts, and you start to think that, you start to believe it, and then that, as Brad said, becomes a distraction. So that's one distraction now that none of those drivers have to worry about, is the Penske car in the Final Four.
I am amused on one level by the other possibilities if he does win the championship. Obviously, Brad addressed this a moment ago. It is the pachyderm in the room, in the sense that if he wins the championship, then somebody from NASCAR has to hand him the trophy. The same group that he is embroiled in a nasty lawsuit with.
Look, are we Team Chaos? Because I feel like...
Hey, if he wins the championship, whatever argument that they might have about NASCAR being retaliatory pretty much goes out the window.
Yeah,
or being rigged.
Right, exactly. I mean, look, I will say the competition side of things, the PR marketing side of things, and all of that has treated Denny Hamlin just like any other competitor, given him the accolades when he's earned them, and not when he hasn't earned them. I don't feel like those two streams have crossed at all this year.
It will be curious though if he somehow or another manages to pull that off. That's got to be okay. Who hands him the trophy? Yes, it will be. And the other thing would be that edition of his podcast.
Oh, yes.
Which is videotape, Actions Detrimental. I watch it a good bit. I think Denny's insights about what it's like inside the race car and driving the race car are wonderful. You want to know more about what's going on? Watch that. His off-politics stuff and everything, I can take it or leave that. And I've told Denny that to his face, so I don't feel bad about that. That would be interesting to watch.
For sure. I think that would probably be the most viewed Actions Detrimental.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So in some ways, there are more stories around Denny than anybody else.
Oh, for sure.
It just is. The agony of defeat, has he been there? Is he going to be Charlie Brown and Lucy's holding the football one more time and she pulls it out? And he doesn't get to kick the football. To this date, he's never kicked the football. Lucy's undefeated. We'll see. Can Denny defeat Phoenix and rid himself of all those demons? What, Brad?
Like, he's been one of the most vocal about this playoffs format and how random he is, or that it is in his mind. Now, go back and listen to his post-race or his weekend comments from Martinsville, and he is trying to talk around that in like the worst way. He says, look, anything can still happen and so on and so forth. In some ways, he's almost prepared for the fact that, okay, if I won 6 races this year, and he wasn't the dominant driver this season, I don't think we've had one of those. He's just won the most races, but it's almost like he's preparing himself for the reason why he didn't win the championship. He might not need that reason.
I think when you've been there and the microphone's been in your face that many times of people saying, okay, well, yet again, you didn't get it done, you probably do go through some mental gymnastics ahead of time trying to, figure that out.
Yeah. He's the nerdy guy that's been dumped by the prom queen a lot.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
He's ready to drive home by himself again. We'll see. It is the most intriguing story of the four.
I think so.
I,
for sure.
I just feel like that overwhelmingly it gets the lion's share of attention. We'll talk about, is this the finale for Phoenix being the last race ever? Will we have a new format? And where's everybody else? We'll do that next.
Let's talk about your health insurance. There are a lot of reasons why people need affordable health insurance. But here's the bottom line. You know you need affordable health insurance. For you, a spouse, a family member, whatever. I'm going to give you a free hotline to call to find affordable health insurance that can cover all your health insurance needs in case you get sick or have an emergency. Plus, cover vision, dental, and more. And there are no long-term commitments. You can keep your plan as long as it's affordable. And for the price of a cup of coffee. We're not talking about one of those fancy coffees. For the price of a regular cup of coffee a day, you can have quality, affordable health insurance. Call the Health Insurance Hotline for a free quote.
800-275-7851. 800-275-7851. 800-275-7851. That's 800-275-7851.
I'm Chase Elliott, and you're listening to Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network.
I can't help.
It's hard to believe in this day and age in the United States of America that children are hungry.
Our time on this planet is short. We have to give back to those in need.
Every child has a chance, no matter what obstacles they may encounter.
Never have we been taxed more as a society to help kids the way we are right now.
At Speedway Children's Charities, our mission is simple. Help every child we can.
Because all children
deserve joy and hope and love.
I'm PRN's Doug Turnbull, co-host of the 5 to Go podcast, a weekly deep dive into 5 motorsports issues. Devin Kupka gives the Gen Z view.
One thing that I've never seen before, when the cars got 4 wide, everybody stood up cheering.
And championship-winning mechanic Dan Elliott leans on his decades in the garage and promoting.
Unless everybody is aware of the rules, then no, it's not fair for everyone.
Listen to the 5 to Go podcast on GoPRN.com and subscribe on Apple and Spotify.
Welcome back. It's Fast Talk here on PRN. Doug Rice, Alexis Erickson, and Brad Gilley from our auxiliary studios down in Texas. And Brad, there's Hendrick and there's Joe Gibbs. There's no Penske. There's no 2311. There's no Trackhouse. Are you surprised that the Final Four represents only 2 of the big organizations?
I'm not, but can I also say that I wouldn't be surprised if Penske had shown up for it. I wouldn't be surprised if 2311. I wouldn't be surprised if Trackhouse had shown up for it. I think we've had just that kind of season. We haven't had a runaway where Kevin Harvick wins 9 races and Denny Hamlin wins 7, or where Martin Truex Jr. wins about every stage you can possibly win and collects a bunch of playoffs points. We just haven't had that kind of a year. So for it to come down to 4 drivers among just 2 organizations, that doesn't surprise me. But I don't think I would have felt that way if we would have seen a 2311 or so on and so forth. Maybe a little bit more based on the fact that, 2311's only won 1 race so far this year, and Trackhouse has won 6 races so far this year. But the way this season's gone, I feel like there has been, even though the wins have been dominated by a couple of organizations, there's been a lot of parity as far as performance goes.
Alexis, looking at Penske, they represent all 6 wins, and I include the Wood brothers in Penske. They're just by a different name, but only a half dozen wins for the Blue Oval. Half of those belong to Ryan Blaney. Surprised by that outcome now that we're 35 races in?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially because when you think about what Brad just said about how there has been, some degree of parity this season, you would think that would be reflected in the manufacturers as well, and it clearly has not been. Penske carrying the load of the Fords and getting all of those wins, I think that's not surprising because they're definitely the number 1 Ford team when you look at all the other teams, RFK and Front Row. But the fact that they only have 6 and they don't have any drivers represented in the Final Four, I think they're going to take this, Ford's going to take a look at this season and say, okay, well, what can we do differently next season?
Just in my own opinion, the other Ford teams have to pick up some of the slack.
Yeah.
They have seemingly handed off the baton to Team Penske and said, go out and win our races for us.
Yeah.
And RFK shows up and they'll have a good race now and then. And that's pretty much been it. For the bulk of the season, when we've talked about Ford, we've talked about Penske, a little bit of RFK. Some of these other teams, Front Row, where are you? Why we need to see more.
They're a top-tier partner, Front Row is,
right,
through their Penske Alliance. So it's not like they're a secondary partner. They're a top-tier partner. But, again, like 2311 Racing, they're also right in the middle of this lawsuit. And between 6 different cars among those 2 teams, one trip to victory lane.
So, Brad, when we roll out to Phoenix, is this the end of an era? Is this the end of the top 4 battling at the final race of the season? What are you hearing on the Coconut Telegram as far as what's going to go down?
I hope not, but it depends on who you listen to. If you listen to Dale Earnhardt Jr., and I do appreciate his, what he has for this sport, his opinions on the sport and all of that, it's all going to change. You listen to a lot of people, there's going to be some form of change. Whether we divert from a championship 4 round, who knows? It does sound like the wind is blowing toward maybe a championship round of races, which personally I'm not in favor of. I like the format that we have. I might tweak a couple of things as far as not resetting points in between rounds and all of that. But it does sound like the wind is blowing pretty stiff for the possibility of a different way of crowning a champion starting next year.
Alexis, I think this goes back to that old maxim, be careful what you wish for.
Certainly.
If you're one of those folks that wants a season-long format, I don't think we're going to get that. You may get your wish. You may also have the champion crowned on race 33 out of 36. It could easily happen. And you also don't have those moments like you did where you're gritting your teeth when Ryan Blaney is battling it out with William Byron at Martinsville literally see who is going to go to the next round. I'm ambivalent, but there are arguments on both sides of this. This is not a one-size-fits-all argument, in my opinion.
No, I agree 1,000%. I think no matter what format you choose, whether it's a full 36 race season or you have a 10 race chase or the format that we have now, you're going to have situations where it's ideal or it's not ideal. I mean, nothing is perfect. Nothing that we do. We're a very reactive sport. I feel like we have very loud fans that speak up about what they're passionate about, and I love that. But we also sometimes take that and we're reactionary in a very quick way, I think, sometimes. And like you said, it's be careful what you wish for, because you could have another format going into next year, and then the way the scenario plays out, because there's so many variables in what we do in this sport of how things play out, that it could play out in a way where you're like, oh wait, we never thought this could happen, how did we get here? That kind of thing. And so, I see both sides of the argument. I absolutely do. And I think Brad is correct in the wind is shifting to change. That's most likely going to happen. What that change is going to be, not sure. I'm not privy to that information. But we'll just have to wait and see. And then we'll have to see it play out next year and see if it plays out in a scenario that makes the majority of people happy, because you're not going to make everybody happy.
I'm not even going to venture saying what that might be, because as soon as I do, people huddled up in the back room are going to say, no, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm confident saying I don't think it's been cast in stone just yet.
Yeah.
Think they're going to give themselves a little bit of wiggle room. I mean, they could go right up to the start of the season.
Sure.
They are under no pressure to come out with the format tomorrow.
Right.
I like that if they're going to change it, though, that they're not doing it before this season is over.
Right.
Because one of the things that's been said is we don't want to have someone win a championship this year when we've already said it's going to change, and now people go, well, whoever won the 2025 title, that's not really a legitimate champion because they came up with and I'm using air quotes here, a better way for next year. I don't know that there is a better way.
I've never
a different way.
I've never understood the people that keep the old points. Well, according to the Bob Ladford system that was invented in,
I see tweets that are like, oh, well, here's the Winston Cup points whatever. And
Those don't matter.
And then people are like,
Yeah.
well, here's the full 36 when you include in like stage points and and it's like, yeah, sure. We could just, throw some dice up in the air and see what happens too. Like,
yeah, honestly, Jeff Gluck wrote a really nice article about what a full season points championship could be, because what this format has done is not created the same natural rivalries on the racetrack like we've had, because, hey, look, Christopher Bell had one of the strongest seasons, but he's eliminated, so we're not talking about him for the championship. My fear with the multi-race format is that right now at Phoenix this weekend, we're going to see the Championship 4 drivers be given a pretty wide berth among the rest of the field. No one wants to ruin anyone's championship hopes, and that's great for a single race. Do I want to watch that for 4 races? I don't. We've also talked about the possibility of manufacturer teammate manipulation and things like that. Do I want to worry about that for 4 races? No, I don't. I just want to see a single championship race that encourages someone to have to step up in a great moment.
All right. We'll find out. We'll, 3 or 4 months from now, maybe we'll find out. It would be great if they wait till like the day before the Daytona 500.
Right.
We announced it at Bowman Gray.
Right.
By the way. That is great, Brad.
Yeah. And this win counts for playoffs.
At Bowman Gray at the Clash. Here's the point system.
Mm-hmm.
Have at it. And then nobody, we got a week to complain about it, because we will complain.
Oh, sure.
Because that's the nature of things.
Yes.
Then again, what is that old saying? If a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump his butt every time it jumped.
That's one of the old sayings. There's a lot of them.
That one's new to me.
I cleaned that up a little bit. We'll be right back.
In addition to traditional summer camp, Victory Junction also hosts family weekends, partner programs, and day camps. And the Victory Junction Outreach Program takes camp fun beyond our gates to children at hospitals and partner sites throughout North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Victory Junction makes the impossible accessible.
This is a place that needs to be here 50 years from now, 100 years from now. We are never going to run out of kids that can benefit from Victory Junction.
Discover how you can get involved at victoryjunction.org.
Hey folks, it's Doug Rice. Did you know you can take PRN with you anywhere? By downloading the PRN mobile app, you can listen to our live races just about any place on the planet, and you will not miss a second of the action. Plus, you can hear our shows like the fantastic editions of Fast Talk, plus Brett McMillan on the Pit Reporters and Mark Garrow with Garage Pass. Get all the latest racing information right at your fingertips. The PRN mobile app, available at the Apple App Store and on Google Play.
I'm Eric Jones, and you're listening to Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network.
Hi, this is Brett McMillan. Join me each week for the True Reporters Roundtable, known as the Pit Reporters.
This is not what we're used to and accustomed to seeing. That, I think, with a backdrop, is why a lot of fans are a bit sour on Denny.
He still wants to play that role that now Denny has taken on, but him and the A-car haven't had the same success. You can't be the villain, and it doesn't really work as well if you're not winning, and Denny Hamlin is doing just that.
Check us out each week on the Performance Racing Network.
Did you know that 9 out of 10 Americans are sick of the divisions in our country? But there's one small step we can take to remember that we're still connected. All over America, strangers with different political views are coming together to talk about their lives, not politics, and discovering they actually have a lot in common. Because even if we don't see eye to eye, we can still talk, heart to heart. So let's talk, for a change. Learn more at takeonesmallstep.org.
Don't acknowledge them nearly enough, but the other folks that help make this show possible each and every week are behind the glass. You'll hear from one of them in just a moment, Kent Bernhardt. David Stiles is the other, the now voice of the often winning Mooresville Blue Devil High School football team. They won another one like 70-3 this past weekend. So we appreciate those folks for helping make this show possible. What are we doing now?
It's time for another edition of Green Flag, Black Flag.
Yeah, perfect way to brighten up an otherwise overcast, rainy day here as we're taping. And we'll illuminate it with the brilliance of our panel today as they mull over a few of these statements we're about to read. they'll think about them. They'll agonize over them.
Ruminate.
We're going to ruminate. Yes, that's
Yes.
it. That's right. And then they'll either give it a green flag. If they disagree with it, it gets a black flag. If they're all in agreement.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. I like. By the way, Ruminate sounds like a good product name for a vacuum cleaner.
It does.
Ooh, the Ruminator.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good nickname for a driver.
I'll get home. My wife will have one on the porch already from Amazon.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, let's start with Doug Rice, since he was the last one to talk here just a moment ago. We'll shine the spotlight on you. A non-championship driver will win at Phoenix.
Black flag.
Easy.
Yeah. Done.
Black flag. Wow. All right, I'm also going to go black flag, but I will say there are a bunch of other drivers in this race, and we can't count them out. But as Brad mentioned in the previous segment, they're going to be giving these playoff drivers a pretty wide berth, and they're all going to come loaded for bear. So I think we will see our champion also in victory lane.
All right, Brad Gilley.
Well, y'all are no fun. Green flag. I want to see that. Yeah. Team Blaney. Team Chastain. In fact, I may even wear my Ross Chastain 2023 Phoenix winner T-shirt underneath my shirt this weekend, just as a reminder.
Go. It can happen. It has happened before. But.
Good deal. Alexis Erickson, here you go. This year's championship four was based on pure performance.
Yeah, green flag. I mean, I don't really know exactly how to answer that question. I'm guessing you're asking me they're all deserving to be there based off of their performance. And if that's the statement, then yes, green flag.
All right, Brad Gilley.
I'm going to say green flag because one of the arguments for a different playoff system is that, Team Penske mastered a survivor-type format to advance throughout the rounds when they didn't necessarily perform week in and week out. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people want to bring up something different. This year, you look at it, and there are people who are at the tops of various categories, whether it's top fives, top tens, race wins, laps led. Those are the drivers that make up our championship four. Green flag.
Okay, Doug Rice.
I'm glad you mentioned Survivor. This year's cast on Survivor is the most dull and uninteresting group of people that have ever been stranded in Fiji. They could leave them all there, and none of them would be missed.
That was for you, by the way.
Yeah, I don't watch
None
it,
of them.
so I couldn't.
I do.
Yeah.
Watched every season. Worst cast ever. Season 49, unmemorable.
Gosh.
What was the question?
49?
I forgot. Well, this year's
championship. Yeah, they're all worthy. Give them benefit of a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've all won some races.
You're not worthy. Oh, sorry.
Nice.
Or we're not worthy.
Brad Gilley, if Denny Hamlin's championship dreams do not materialize now, it's never.
Green flag and green flag.
Doug Rice.
I mean, look, he's the one who's saying I've only got 2 more years left in this whole deal, and he is at the top of his game, but how demoralizing will it be on Sunday if he's not holding the big trophy?
Green flag. I think at age 44, he needs to get this done now, in the moment. Live in the moment.
Yeah, give me that sound effects for agreement. Because,
I like that.
Yeah, I agree. He, and because we don't know, we just talked about we don't even know what the format might be next year. Like, he knows he's there, he's in it. He has a 1 in 4 chance this Sunday to win the championship. Who knows what the future holds as far as how you even qualify for winning the championship. So, yes, if I were him and his team, I would think it is now or never.
All right, one quickie. Here we go. Doug, we'll go to you first on this one here. When it comes to national anthems, what Martinsville gave me was a winner yesterday, a marching band.
Yes, always can't lose the marching band. Even a small one, I'm down for that.
Yeah, green flag. I agree wholeheartedly. They always do a fantastic job.
Brad?
Green flag all the way. A marching band or a member of the military in uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Can't lose.
And don't
or a combination of both.
And don't give me another country fried national anthem.
Yeah.
I like country music, but I despise those.
Their interpretation of
just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should do a thing.
Yeah.
Well said.
There you go. There's green flag, black flag.
All right. One last thing rolls your way next.
I think we should be
From fueling NASCAR champions on the track for over 20 years to innovating 94 octane, the highest octane on the market. Performance is what Sunoco does. All Sunoco fuel at the pump meets the same top-tier standards as the fuel used in NASCAR. From the track to your tank, you can trust Sunoco to help your vehicle perform at its peak.
I'm Austin Dillon, and you're listening to Fast Talk on the Performance Racing Network.
Hi, I'm PRN's Alexis Erickson. Want to listen to PRN anywhere you go? By downloading the PRN mobile app, you can listen to live race broadcasts and have on-demand access to your favorite shows like Fast Talk, Pit Reporters, Garage Pass, and PRN's At the Track. Download today to make sure you don't miss any of the action. Get the latest racing information at your fingertips with the PRN mobile app, available on Apple App Store and Google Play. Find more information at goprn.com.
In Iraq, our truck hit a roadside bomb. I had about 16 surgeries on my hand so that I could regain function. And when I came home, I needed a new roof due to a storm. And I was about to lose homeowners insurance as well. I applied for Operation Homefront Critical Financial Assistance Program. And it's good to know that when we come home, there are people who are there that care about us. Operation Homefront, they've really been a blessing.
Always a fun show when you get ready to decide the championship and you talk about all the possibilities of what could possibly happen. Usually in this segment, we do one last thing, but substituting, coming off the bench for one last thing, is going to be our championship picks. Talked about the folks behind the glass, David Stiles and Kent Bernhardt. Let's start off with David Stiles. David, what are you thinking about who wins the title in 2025?
I'm going to go with William Byron. Yeah, I think it's his year. He's got the momentum right now. I wanted to use the picture of him eating corn, but I didn't think that was appropriate.
William Byron.
Willie B. You
Willie
almost
B.
said
it. No. Will he be? We'll see about that. William Byron. Kent Bernhardt. What are you thinking about?
I go with Denny Hamlin on this one. I'm just kind of wanting to finally see that.
Well, I'm sure 44-year-old Denny Hamlin shares that, and we'll see 6 wins this year. Denny scoots around Phoenix. Okay. Brad Gilley.
I'm going to go with David's genius and say William Byron. I think the odds are ever in his favor.
Wow, a little Hunger Games quote there.
Yeah.
Love
Thank
that.
you for picking that up.
Yeah. Can't lose that. All right. Katniss Everdeen's.
Oh, boy. Well, I may come to regret this, but I'm going with Denny Hamlin. I told Doug, if I go with Denny Hamlin and he lets me down yet again, I will never pick him again. However, he's my pick for this Sunday. I just feel like with everything going on in his life, all the lawsuit, everything happening, the fact there's no Penske drivers to kind of throw him off of his game, all these things, I think the stars may finally align for the number 11.
This would be the perfect crowning moment for him, for everything that he's been through.
Yep.
New dad this year, lawsuit, podcast, all those things.
Almost like it didn't happen before so that it could happen now.
Should he drop the mic if he wins?
Yeah.
I did hear a caller on the show the other day said if he wins, he should retire. I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah. Well,
Get out and say, I'm done.
I wouldn't be surprised if he said that. If that was an announcement he made, but
people talk about that, but nobody ever does that.
Yeah.
I'm going with a non-sexy pick. I think Young Money gets his second title. I just think they've kind of just puttered along, but I can see him going out there. Nobody gets more locked in and focused, I don't think, than Kyle Larson. And I think he'll make it all the way back from the dismal days of May, the disappointment at Indy, the floundering and wrecking while he was leading the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte. I think all of that gets washed away and he wins the second title.
Sorry, Chase Briscoe.
I know.
Yeah, well, he's not supposed to be there anyway. He's He's really, I mean,
he's not supposed to be there.
He's not supposed to be there in the sense, if we were doing this show 10 months ago, none of us are picking Chase Briscoe to be in the Final Four.
That is a fact.
Not that he's not deserving of it. He's had a sensational year. He's become a name. He's a brand now, but you know, you got to what is it? You got to win one to lose one, or is it the other way around?
Got to lose one to win
there
one.
You go. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate that. All right, on behalf of the folks behind the glass and our great listeners and the wonderful stations that do carry this show, we appreciate you listening. I'm Doug Rice, and we'll be back next week with a whole bunch more championship Fast Talk.
Fast Talk was presented by Toyota. For the latest Toyota Gazoo racing information, visit tgrna.com. And by Sunoco. From NASCAR to your car, Sunoco Fuel helps your car reach peak performance. This is PRN, the Performance